of questions. Can I ask a couple
Sure.
of questions?
I'll give you 2 questions, Brandon. Go right ahead.
Okay. Can we do a match?
What is the match?
It's a game where people vote for their favorite broadcaster.
People vote for their favorite broadcaster. Now, I'm wondering, Brandon, if I'm at a disadvantage for that, since I don't really watch a lot of podcasts and television because I'm so busy struggling and fighting in the liberation struggle of my people. I don't know if I would get any of the answers correct, but I will indulge you.
Bro, so like I fight for my people too.
And what is your ethnicity, Brandon? What's your ethnicity? Are you Polish, Irish, Jewish, German? What's your ethnicity? Educate me.
Jewish, and I'm Russian.
Jewish and Russian. So Russian Jew, would it be?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead, Brandon.
So like I fight for people that like have autism and people that are like have problems, and people make fun of them, and I have the utmost sympathy to those people.
So do I, Brandon. I'm actually a certified school psychologist, Brandon, so I do autistic evaluations for a living. I support autistic parents. I support autistic children. And when I'm done building the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy, we will have a special program for autistic African boys as well.
That's good. So since you're a psychologist, that's interesting. How would you confront a problem if someone's like struggling and like they don't know what to do? What would you say?
It depends. What are they struggling with?
They're struggling with people being mean to them and harassing them. What would you say? Like,
well, a couple things. Number one, we need to build their resilience, because the truth of the matter is, in life, there will be people who will mistreat you. There will be people who will deliberately try to undermine your progress. That is a part of life. We live in a universe that has a balance of positive energy and negative energy. So you're going to have to develop the emotional hardiness and the psychological resilience skills to be able to deal with those types of confrontations.
another question. So like if someone, this is for the public, by the way. If someone like is out there and they're like they have no friends, they get in a breakup with their girlfriend, let's say, and like what's a good way to cope with the frustration they feel? Like
it sounds like 2 things, Brandon. One, low self-esteem. It sounds like they may be suffering from low self-esteem because although we will lose friends, we will gain friends, we will be hurt by people we know, it should not affect us to the point where it undermines our peace of mind. So when someone is affected to the point where losing a friend undermines their peace of mind and ability to function in life, to me, that sounds like an overdependence on other people for approval, which is usually evidence of low self-esteem. So I'm looking at low self-esteem, number one. And the other point that I'm looking at there, Brandon, is a need for social skills training. Some of us need to be taught how to enter into relationships socially, how to get out of relationships socially, how to survive in relationships socially as well, so people will welcome us and we can welcome other people. And particularly in dealing with autistic children, they tend to need social skills training more than others, because autism is a disability of communication, verbal and nonverbal. So if we're specifically speaking of autistic adults and children, I think social skills training is something that is in order.
Okay. And some people like have like I've come across people who are crying that they have like family issues and they don't know. What would you say about that?
Depends on the type of family issue that they're having. You know, families are dynamic. Is it an issue with mom? Is it an issue with dad? Is it an issue with sibling? Is it sibling rivalry? Is it sibling bullying? Is it abandonment by the father? Is it emotional abuse by the mother? Is it an issue with relatives in the extended family? So it all depends on what the issue is, because you can have 1,000,001 different issues within the family system and within the family context. Okay, no problem. Go ahead, Brandon. You got another 2 questions.
So do you want to do a match or not?
No, we're going to opt out of the match, Brandon. I'd rather not do the match.
Okay.
But I do have a question for you, Brandon. I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
African people, many of us take issue with some members of the Jewish community who will deny that European Jews are racist against African people, when the truth of the matter is, Brandon, maybe not you, but within your community, we find historically that when we look at many of the music studios that control the negative gangster rap that is being proliferated in the Black community, and when we look at the movie studios that often misrepresent African people in negative images, many of those music companies and movie studios are owned by European Jews. And so my question to you, Brandon, is do you think that there is systemic racism practiced by the European Jewish community against African people as it relates to the misrepresentation of our public image when it comes to movies and music, much of which is published by Jewish-owned publishing houses? What are your thoughts on that, Brandon?
I think it's a ridiculous assumption, but I have no clue. I have no idea.
You have no idea, Brandon? You have no idea, or is the topic kind of uncomfortable for you?
No, bro. I'm not racist at all. I am like...
Okay. What is your definition of racism, Brandon? What is your definition of racism?
Someone that is like ignorant, because like I judge people based on what's on the inside, not on the outside. So like you could be pink. I don't care. You know? Yeah.
Understood, Brandon. No problem. What's your last question for me, Brandon?
If somebody is struggling with school-related things, what would you suggest them to do?
Some counseling. They probably need some counseling, Brandon. There's a lot that young people go through in this world today. Young adults such as yourself, older adults, we often need somebody to talk to. That's why I became a therapist. That's why I became a school psychologist. That's why I got my doctorate in clinical psychology, to help people. And there's nothing wrong with seeking out a therapist. There's nothing wrong with seeking out a counselor. Sometimes we need somebody to talk to, because when you keep all of that negative content and negative memories and negative emotions and negative thoughts bottled up inside of you, it can kill you. And that's why I strongly recommend that most people get a counselor or a therapist who they can talk to on a regular basis to keep you sane.
What are some of the reasons why children leave their parents' home when they get older? Do you know why?
Yes. Some parents are extremely controlling of their children. They don't allow them, Brandon, to make their own decisions. Now, I believe parents should guide the decisions that their children make, but children should be allowed to make decisions, because if they don't, when they become adults, they will not know how to make decisions, and they will develop anxiety disorders. They can develop generalized anxiety disorders, all kinds of phobias, because they're not used to making decisions. So a lot of children run away from their parents as soon as they turn 18 because they were never allowed to make decisions. Number 2, emotional abuse. A lot of children can't wait to get out of their parents' nest because they were emotionally abused, criticized, and ridiculed most of their childhood. And as a result of that, they couldn't wait to get out of the parents' home. And the third reason why a lot of children run is physical abuse and religious oppression. A lot of parents force feed religion down their children's throats. Whether it's Islam, whether it's Christianity, whether it's Judaism, they force the religion on their kids. And don't get me wrong, I think children should have a spiritual foundation, but they should not have to be a spiritual extremist. Some parents require that their children become spiritual extremists during childhood. And I think that can be emotionally abusive. And of course, a lot of parents are also physically abusive because they were abused as children themselves. So those are some of the reasons that children can't wait to get out of their parents' homes when they turn 18. Brandon, it's been good talking to you, young man. Where you located at, Brandon? What city?
I'm in New York. How about yourself?
New York City. All right. You be careful, Brandon. Take care of yourself. Feel free to chime in any other time. I had a great time talking to you, Brandon. Take care, bro.
Yes, and I think a lot of the viewers also learned a thing or two from your speeches. Thank you for